The screen says -$4, not 400. 4. You are standing at an ATM on an ordinary Wednesday, holding a card the machine has just decided not to like, and somewhere in a server you will never see, the bank has quietly started a clock. By tomorrow morning, that $4 will cost you 37. The bank already has a name for the version of you that lets the screen go red, and it is not a flattering one. You will spend the next 11 years climbing out of that name, one quiet floor at a time. This is what every floor of that building looks like, from the basement where they charge you to exist, all the way up to the top, where they finally start charging themselves to keep you. Here is the thing nobody explains to you about a bank. It is not one institution. It is a building with a different face on every floor, and the face you get is the one your balance has earned. There are two kinds of money in that building, and they do not behave the same way. Loud money walks in and announces itself. It wants the upgrade, the card with the metal weight, the line of credit it will spend the next 5 years apologizing for. Quiet money does the opposite. It moves through the same lobby without a sound, and by the time anyone notices it, it owns the floor they are standing on. The whole climb is the distance between those two. And the strange part, the part you will see at every level, is that the building treats you worse when you have nothing and better when you no longer need anything from it. If you are the kind of person who would rather build the thing than perform it, you already know where the subscribe button is. I will not ask twice. So let us start at the bottom, the basement, where you are right now, or where you have been, or where you are quietly afraid of going back to. The basement. Negative numbers. At -$4, the bank is not your bank. It is a meter, and the meter runs against you. Watch where the money goes when nobody is looking. A coffee you bought at 8. 14 inches the morning clears at the same moment as a transfer you forgot about, and the system does not process them in the order they happened. It processes the larger one first, on purpose, so that the smaller ones bounce behind it. One bad morning becomes 4 separate fees. $37, then 37 again, stacked like floors in reverse, each one digging you deeper into the ground. You did nothing reckless. You bought coffee. You were $9 short of a number you could not see, and the building charged you for the privilege of being short. There is a particular shame the basement teaches you, and it has a sound. It is the half-second silence at a register when the card reader thinks too long, and the line behind you shifts its weight, and you already know before the screen confirms it. You say something light. You say, "Try it again." You reach for a second card you know is worse than the first. The person behind the counter has seen this 100 times on 100 ordinary Wednesdays, and has the decency to look away. And somehow that decency is the worst part of all. The basement is not loud. It is quiet in the wrong way, the kind of quiet that makes you smaller. This is the floor where Priya lives, even though Priya would never tell you that. Priya earns $40,000 a year more than you do. She has the title, the corner desk, the kind of salary that makes other people assume the basement is somewhere she has never been. But her account touches zero on the 28th of every month, and on the worst months it goes red for a day, and on those days the building charges her exactly what it charges everyone else down here. The meter does not check your job title. It checks your balance, and your balance is the only thing it has ever respected. Here is what that actually costs. It is not the $37. It is what the $37 does to the way you walk into the building. You start checking the screen before every purchase. You start treating your own money like a stranger's, asking permission. The basement is not a number. It is a posture. And once you learn it, It follows you up several floors before you notice you are still crouching. The first floor, 0 to 2,000. You claw your way to a balance that stays positive, and the building changes its tone. Slightly. Not warmly. Just enough to stop punishing you for breathing. But there is a line drawn across this floor, usually around $1,500, and the building watches it the way a landlord watches the first of the month. Stay above it and your account is free. Drop below it, even for a weekend, and a maintenance fee appears. $12. 14. Quietly billed for the service of holding money you barely have. Read that again, because everyone misses it. On this floor, you pay the bank to keep your own money. The less you have, the more it costs to hold. This is where loud money makes its first real mistake, and Dylan makes it beautifully. Dylan crosses $2,000 for the first time in his adult life and treats it like a finish line. He leases the SUV that costs $490 a month. He gets the apartment with the rooftop nobody uses. From the outside, on an ordinary Wednesday, Dylan looks like he has left the basement for good. He posts the rooftop. He does not post the statement. You are standing one floor below where you appear to be, and Dylan is standing one floor below where he appears to be. And the difference is that you know it. And knowing it costs you something the first floor never tells you about. Every Wednesday, Dylan posts the rooftop. A small voice asks why you are still driving the same paid-off car, still bringing lunch, still saying no to the weekend that everyone else seems to afford. The building does not charge you for that voice, but the voice is real, and it is loudest precisely on this floor, where the gap between what you have and what you are pretending not to want is at its widest. The basement was survival. The first floor is temptation, and temptation has a much better marketing team. The second floor, 10 to 25,000. Now you have a cushion. A real one. Enough that a flat tire on a Wednesday is an annoyance instead of an emergency, and that single fact changes more about your life than the number suggests. The building notices. The fees stop. The teller starts using your name. You deposit a check, and most of it is available the same day, where a year ago, the building would have held it for 5 business days, just in case the version of you that wrote it could not be trusted. Notice this, because everyone misses it. Nothing about the check changed. Only your balance did. The building was never measuring the money. It was measuring you. And now it has decided you are slightly less of a risk than you used to be. This is the floor where quiet money starts to separate from loud money in a way you can actually feel. Dylan is on this floor too, on paper. He out-earns you. But Dylan's cushion lives in a leased SUV and a rooftop he is renting, which means Dylan does not have a cushion at all. He has a costume. When his transmission goes on a Wednesday, the costume does nothing. He is back in the basement by Friday, and nobody on his feed will ever know. You do not announce it. That is the point. The cushion only works if it stays invisible, because the moment you spend it on looking like you have it, it stops being a cushion and becomes a down payment on the basement. And there is a mechanism here most people never feel, because it works in their favor for the first time. On this floor, your money begins, very faintly, to make money. Not much. A handful of dollars a month, the kind of number that looks like a rounding error and feels like an insult after the years the building spent taking 37 at a time. But the direction has changed. For your entire life, the meter ran against you, and now, for the first time, on an ordinary Wednesday, it ticks the other way by a few cents. That is the whole game. In miniature, everything above this floor is just the same tick, repeated, left alone long enough to become a number nobody sees. The third floor, 100,000. Something shifts at 6 figures. and it is almost embarrassing how mechanical it is. You did not become a better person on the Wednesday your balance crossed 100,000. You did not get smarter. But the building did get nicer. All at once. The way a room gets warmer when someone important walks in. A letter arrives offering to raise your credit limit. Unprompted. The same limit you begged for at 23 and were refused. Now they are pushing it toward you across the table. And you understand, finally, the rule that governs the entire building. The bank is most reluctant to lend to people who need money, and most eager to lend to people who do not. You did not need the higher limit, which is precisely why you got it. Read that twice. At the bottom, you asked the building for help and it charged you for asking. At 100,000, the building offers you help you have stopped needing and calls it a reward. Same building. Same logo on the door. The only thing that changed is which side of the glass you are standing on. This is the floor where Mr. Ellis has been living for 30 years without telling a single soul. Mr. Ellis is the neighbor with the 14-year-old sedan and the lawn he mows himself on Wednesday evenings. You assumed, the way everyone assumes, that the old car meant an old man who never made it. The old car is the tell. Mr. Ellis crossed 100,000 before you were born and just kept climbing, quietly, in a car nobody would ever photograph. Because Mr. Ellis figured out the secret of this floor early. The building rewards the balance, not the performance. So he stopped performing. He let the lawn and the sedan do the work of hiding him in plain sight. You ask him once, leaning on the fence on a Wednesday evening, why he never moved, never traded up, never let himself have the obvious things 100,000 and then a great deal more could buy. He thinks about it the way he thinks about everything, slowly, and then he says the thing you will carry for the next 10 years. He says the moment you let the money show, you hand strangers a vote on how you live. So he never let it show. Not the car, not the house, not the number. He kept the vote for himself. And keeping the vote, it turns out, was the entire point of getting the money in the first place. The fourth floor. 250,000 to $1 million. Here the building does something it never did before. It assigns you a person. Somewhere between 250,000 and $1 million in investable assets, depending on the building, a door opens that most people will walk past their whole lives without knowing it is there. Behind it is not a teller. It is a relationship manager, with a direct line and a first name and a habit of remembering yours. The fees are not waived as a courtesy now. They are simply gone, the way a tax disappears when you cross a border. There are products on this floor that the lobby has never heard of, and the only way to learn they exist is to be standing on the floor where they are offered. That is not the part that matters. This is. On this floor, the building stops treating your money as something it is keeping safe for you and starts treating it as something it would like to borrow. The relationship manager mentions, gently, on an ordinary Wednesday, that you do not actually have to sell anything to access cash. You can borrow against what you hold. At a rate that would have made the basement version of you weep. The building wants to lend to you now, badly, because you have become exactly the kind of person it trusts, the kind who does not need the loan. Priya never sees this floor. Not because she could not have reached it, the salary was always enough. But Priya's money arrived loud and left louder. Every month, on the 28th, and a relationship manager cannot be assigned to a balance that keeps returning to zero. The building does not care how much flows through you. It cares how much stays. Flow is loud. What stays is quiet. And what stays is the only thing the fourth floor will ever shake your hand for. The cruelty of it is that Priya works harder than you do. She always has. She earns the higher number, carries the longer hours, answers the email at 11 at night that you let sit until morning. By every measure the world likes to photograph, Priya is winning. But the building is not measuring the work. It never was. It is measuring the residue, the part of the income that does not get spent on looking like the income. And on that single measure, Priya has spent 15 years scoring a 0 with a smile on her face. Notice this, because everyone misses it. The building will reward a quiet 10,000 that stays over a loud 200,000 that leaves. It is not fair. It is just true. And the people on this floor learned to stop confusing the two a long time ago. The fifth floor, 10 million. At 10 million, the relationship reverses completely. And the reversal is so total it is almost funny if you remember the basement. The building now competes for you. Other buildings call. The line of credit secured against your holdings sits open and unused, costing you almost nothing, a quiet door you can walk through any time you like and rarely do. You borrow against what you own instead of selling it. So the thing keeps growing while you spend. And the bank cheers you on, because every dollar you borrow this way is a dollar it earns to lend. You have become the customer the entire building was designed to find, the one it was filtering for, all the way down in the basement, with the $37 fee that taught you to crouch. You think back, sometimes, to -$4, to the morning the machine decided you were a problem. The distance between that screen and this floor is not 11 years of luck. It is 11 years of an ordinary Wednesday handled the same boring way, again and again. While everyone you knew was busy with the rooftop and the lease and the costume, Dylan is not here. Dylan was never going to be here. Not because he earned too little, but because every floor he reached, he spent on looking like the floor above it, and you cannot climb a staircase you keep selling for the appearance of being higher up than you are. And here is what the fifth floor does to the way you see Dylan, which is not contempt, because Nora does not deal in contempt, and neither by now do you. It is something quieter and sadder. You realize Dylan was paying the same building you were, the whole time. He just paid it at the front, in monthly installments, on things that lost value the moment he drove them off the lot, while you paid it at the back, in the boring discipline of leaving the money alone. Same building, two completely different invoices. He bought the look of the top floor on credit, and you bought the actual floor in silence. And on an ordinary Wednesday, neither of you looked any different from the street. That is the part that should keep you honest. The street can never tell the two of you apart. Only the balance can, and the balance never talks. The top floor, 50 million. At 50 million, the building goes silent. There are no more letters, no more upgrades to offer, because there is nothing left it can give you that you could not already buy 1,000 times over. The relationship manager still calls, but now the calls are almost deferential, the way people speak near something they do not fully understand. You have reached the floor where the building no longer treats you as a customer at all. It treats you as weather, something it organizes itself around. And here's the quiet joke at the top of the whole climb. The $50 million version of you does almost exactly what the $2,000 version did. You still check the balance out of an old habit you never lost. You still drive a car nobody would photograph. You still go quiet when someone asks, vaguely, how things are going, and you still say, doing okay. The number nobody sees is the largest it has ever been, and you have less reason than ever to let anyone see it. That is the turn nobody warns you about. You spend the whole climb believing the floors are about money. They are not. They are about who gets to charge whom for the simple act of existing. In the basement, you pay the building to let you stand in it. At the top, The building pays you, and the only thing you traded for that reversal was 11 years of refusing to look as rich as you were becoming. And there is a cost on this floor that has no fee schedule because the building does not know how to bill for it. The people who watched you crouch at the ATM are mostly gone now, scattered by the years, and the people around you now only ever knew the quiet version, the one who drives the unremarkable car and says doing okay. So there is no one, on an ordinary Wednesday, who can stand next to you and understand both ends of the climb at once. Mr. Ellis could have. Mr. Ellis is the only one who ever could have. But Mr. Ellis kept his own counsel to the end, the way the floor taught him, and you understand now that the silence he carried was not secrecy. It was the price of the vote he refused to hand to strangers. You are holding the same silence. It is heavier than the basement ever was, and you would not trade it for anything, and both of those things are true at the same time. But the building cannot give you back the morning at the ATM. It cannot return the version of you that learned to crouch, or the years you spent walking past the rooftops feeling like the one being left behind. The floors go up. The cost of the climb stays paid. And the quiet you used to get here, the same quiet that made you invisible to Dylan and unreadable to Priya, turns out to be the thing you have to keep living inside even now that you have arrived. Nobody hands you a different self at the top. You just get the same Wednesday, with the meter finally running the other way. So here's the only question left for you. When you finally reach the floor where the building stops charging you to exist and starts paying you for the privilege of holding your money, will there be anyone left who knew how far down you started and how quietly you climbed? Build it quiet.